Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing the aftermath video for the Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos unified lightweight championship fight that took place on November 27th. I've been waiting for the aftermath videos about 2 weeks' time. That way, give a good amount of time for these fighters to get done, see what options are coming up next, see if any governing bodies make any decisions, and all that stuff, so you kind of get a good, healthy dose of information about what's going to happen going forward. And also, you know, I'm going to discuss the fight first, how it went, my opinion, and how each guy's going to proceed. So we start with the fight itself. You know, I mean, Lopez it was a very personal fight. Lopez was looking to come out and totally destroy Kambosos early on. You know, and he tried that, and he looked like he was gonna get Kambosos out of there. It looked like he was getting closer and closer to knocking him down in that first round, and then Kambosos landed a fantastic counter right hand that dropped Teofimo Lopez, and Lopez, you could tell, was kind of rattled, and from there on, it was just kind of a firefight. I mean, it really was a candidate for Fight of the Year. When I give out my boxing awards, I know it's going to be one of the finalists. For that, it might win the award, but it was just such a really good back and forth fight, and you know, Kambosos looked like he was winning, and then Lopez started coming on towards the middle to later rounds. He started coming on and went and piling up the points, and he started getting closer and closer. And then the 10th round, he knocked Kambosos down, and it was like, oh shit, here it comes. Here comes the knockout finally. And then in the championship rounds, Kambosos would win those rounds. He just came in really in great shape, ready for the fight. I think Lopez was absolutely overlooking Kambosos, and Kambosos really was prepared for the headhunting that Lopez did. I think Lopez killed himself by not boxing and using his jab to get in and land that big shot. When he did that, when he started to box a little bit, is when he was effective and scored the knockdown. But for the most of the fight, he was headhunting. He was trying to land that one big shot to get Kambosos out of there. And, you know, it was a bad strategy for him. You could tell Kambosos got in his head, plus he was overlooking Kambosos too. He thought he was just going to blitz right through him. Honestly, I thought he was too. I thought the best Teofimo Lopez, in my opinion, should have got rid of Kambosos in 3 or 4 rounds. But the fact that he overlooked him, the fact that he had that attitude like he was just going to breeze right through him, you know, really just played into Kambosos' hand. And the fact that Kambosos got in his head and made it personal to where Lopez didn't go out there and box and set his knockout up, which he can do very easily. He's a good boxer, and he's got great speed. So that kind of almost transforms him into a great boxer, you know, because of his speed advantage that he has, plus his power. I mean, he's Lopez at his best is the full package, and he didn't bring the full package against Kambosos. He just didn't. Kambosos fought a smart, intelligent, a crafty fight, and he just made it a tough night for Lopez. And they went to the scorecards, and Kambosos got the split decision victory, biggest win of his career, became the unified champion. And now pushing forward, we'll see what he does. But you know, for Lopez to call it a robbery, that's a fucking joke. He couldn't even get how many rounds it was down first. He said 11 rounds to 2, which is 13 rounds. They fight 12 rounds, you know, so you could tell he was just completely rattled. But hey, Kambosos, I mean, I got to tip my hat to the guy. When Lopez was bitching and moaning, he said, hey, come down to Australia, fight me in a rematch. So he wasn't avoiding a rematch. You know, he said, hey, come down to Australia, we'll do it again. And Lopez has just completely scoffed at that. So, you know, great fight. You know, really one of the better fights of the year, and one of the biggest upsets of the year for Kambosos. And again, those are definitely going to make the list of Fight of the Year and Upset of the Year right there. And I'm sure it's going to be on my overall Win of the Year award too. So make sure you're paying attention to my... I do individual awards. I do individual videos on those. And then I'm also going to do a full podcast just dedicated to my boxing awards. So make sure you're paying attention to that. But big time win for Kambosos. But So each guy going forward, where do they go from here? You know, we started with Kambosos, the winner. Well, the sky's the limit for George Kambosos. I mean, you know, if a Lopez rematch wasn't big enough that Lopez doesn't even want, his other options for Kambosos are fucking great. I mean, he can fight Devin Haney for the undisputed title, you know, because Devin Haney holds like the other half of the WBC belt, and that's a big fight. He could fight Vasily Lomachenko, who most consider to be the best fighter at lightweight overall, but Teofimo Lopez beat him. But Lomachenko is the #1 contender to 2 of the 3 titles that Kambosos holds. And then there's Tank Davis, who's the WBA regular champion, and the WBA could order that fight as well. Now, we have not heard anything from the 3 governing bodies, you know, that control the belts that Kambosos holds. None of them. The WBO, the WBC, where Kambosos is, or where Lomachenko's #1 and Devin Haney's the other. I pretty much call Kambosos and Devin Haney half champions right now for the WBC belt, the green belt. You know, Kambosos is the franchise champ. Haney's the full WBC champ. The WBC made this a controversy when they called Lomachenko the real WBC champion before the fight with Lopez. So it's kind of up in the air whether you consider it to be undisputed. I consider it to be unified still for Kambosos now. I've changed my stance on it because I think they're both kind of the WBC champion, and we're not going to have a true champion until they fight each other. But the WBC has not ordered whether they're going to make the Haney-Kambosos fight or if they're going to order Kambosos to fight Lomachenko. They have not yet made that fight. And the WBO has not come out yet in the last couple weeks and ordered Kambosos to defend against Lomachenko either. So everything's up in the air right now. Now, here's the kicker. For Haney or Lomachenko, they are both willing to go to Australia to make the fight with Kambosos. So that means that if it gets ordered, either one of their fights gets ordered, it's going to be very easy to make the fight. So that's big time news right there, and that's great. Now the other option, Tank Davis. The WBA could order this fight as well because they are trying to reduce the amount of titles that they have. They're trying to get 1 champion per division now. And Tank Davis, after his win over Isaac Cruz, he had to choose whether he wanted to stay at 135 or move back up to 140, where he had the regular title at that weight too, and he chose to stay at 135. So now, the WBA has not yet ordered Davis to fight Kambosos either. So I'm just waiting around to see which governing body orders the fight between those, you know, orders who to fight Kambosos. But that's the thing. Kambosos has those 3 options. I think he's even waiting around to see what governing body, or if any of them or all of them, are going to order that fight. But it's going to be very exciting for Kambosos no matter what he does next, whether it's Haney, whether it's Lomachenko, or whether it's Tank Davis. And there's a good chance that the fight's going to end up in Australia, in his home country, and that would be huge for him. It would make a lot of money for him and whoever goes down there and fight him, and it'd be a big fight. So Lomachenko has, you know, the right. I mean, Kambosos, the world is his oyster right now, especially for his next fight, and I'm excited to see him defend that title whenever it is. Really looking forward to his next fight. Now, Teofimo Lopez, the aftermath for him is, you know, he's leaving a bad stain on himself before he moves to 140. Now, he's made it clear, his dad's made it clear that they stayed too long at 135 and they're moving up to 140. So, you know, he gave kind of a brief description of what he wants to do, that he wants to come back in February or March. He had a nasty cut, though. I don't know if he's going to be able to come back in 3 or 4 months. But in the first half of the year, he's going to fight somebody, most likely, in his comeback, get a knockout in a debut at 140, and then boom, he wants to go straight to a Josh Taylor fight. Now, that's barring Josh Taylor is going to give him an opportunity, but I don't see why not. It's a big fight for Taylor. Lopez has a big name, but I think he's leaving a stain by not fighting Kambosos. You know, his dad made the excuse that he kept him at 135 for too long. They've been meaning to move up for a couple years, but I look at the last couple years for Lopez, and what did he do then? He knocked out Richard Comey with an upset that nobody saw coming, and then he essentially, you know, outperformed Vasily Lomachenko, over 12 rounds in a close fight, and Lomachenko was widely considered to be the pound-for-pound best fighter in boxing at the time. So if he was able to accomplish that and even almost beat Kambosos fighting at 135, then why not make the weight one more time, leave no doubt between them, even if you got to go to Australia, go beat him if you're truly the better man, get your revenge, and then move up to 140, you know? I mean, after that, yeah, Lomachenko's going to want to fight you, but Lomachenko's not going to go up to 140, I'll tell you that right now. So Lopez, he could extract his revenge, move up to 140, and nobody would really have an issue with that. But that doesn't look like what he's going to do. He looks like he's moving to 140, and he's going to leave that stain on his resume. And I don't like that. I really don't. And I don't like his attitude. I don't like him calling it a robbery. It was a close, hard-fought battle. And, you know, he's got nothing to hang his head about outside the fact that he just overlooked his opponent, you know? Plain and simple, overlooked his opponent. Maybe the weight had something to do with it, but he lost. And there's nothing, you know, really else to say about that performance but that he lost the fight. So, but heading forward, I mean, Lopez is very young, he's very good, and I think if the weight was really that big of an issue for him, that he's going to be very effective at 140, and that's a wide open division right now too, and he's got a pretty decent amount of options with Top Rank at 140, so he should do well going forward, but we'll see what happens. But that's it. That's my opinion on the George Kambosos Teofimo Lopez video. This is the aftermath of that big fight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.